All right, Tony, are you gonna clap us in to make sure that we're good, ready to get this thing launched?
And
The man has the touch with the clap. Let's do this, boys.
Welcome to the Unlocked Podcast, starring Tony, Lars, and Chad. This is the Unlocked Podcast. Let's go, guys.
All right. Well, hey, good morning, afternoon, day, whatever it is for you guys. Welcome back to a brand new year of the Unlocked Podcast. Now, we've already had 2 episodes that have released this year, but we recorded those, full transparency, because we are well-prepared humans, like to do things in advance and well prepared. But this is the first recording for us for 2026. Mm-hmm. And welcome back to the Unlocked Podcast. If you haven't already, do it right now, quickly. Tony knows exactly how to do this. He's a pro, but let's subscribe. Wherever you're listening to this or watching this, hit the subscribe button because we have a new episode that comes out every week, and we want you to be a part of all of those. Make sure that you're commenting, sending us messages, connecting with us on LinkedIn.
Whew.
Yeah,
this is a rough start.
It is. Welcome to the Unlocked Podcast. It's you can find out more about us at our website. It's unlockedpodcast.com. I'm Chad Lingefeld from Charlotte, North Carolina with Loc-Doc Security, and I've got 2 gents with me who we have been palling around together for a number of years, and we're ready to talk about growing and scaling your business today. You guys want to introduce yourself? We should probably. You want to give a bio as well,
This is watching a train wreck in slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
Just, if you're not watching this on YouTube, pop on, and I don't know how to do it, but go to YouTube and look up the Unlocked Podcast. Yeah. You got to check out Chad's hair. This is the longest we've seen Chad's hair in a long time. I told him he looks old-timey, but I think that's maybe planted the seed for where he gets into us palling around.
Yeah.
However, I'm Lars Johnson, the guy clicking his mouse over there, driving me insane. Tony?
Yeah, that's what I'm here to do. Drive you insane. That is my mission on Thursdays when we record.
Well, you are nailing it so far.
He is like 10 out of 10 every single week.
I definitely have some natural tendencies that annoy you, and I like leaning into those around you just to annoy you even more.
Natural tendencies.
And you're in the sauna in Minnesota where there's absolutely no things going wrong in the world. Everything's been smooth and perfect, but that little sauna keeps you safe. Yeah, that's a good time. But new year, new us. We're back. Some of us have longer hair. Some of us are a little fatter. Some of us are some of us are just Tony. But I'm excited. I'm back.
So you're fatter.
New year.
Wow. No, that was very insulting, Tony.
Well, he just said some of us are a little fatter. He said you had longer hair. He said some of us are just Tony. So that leaves Lars as the one that he was saying was fatter.
Oh. Yeah, well,
he's a little self-deprecating, calling himself fat.
We've had some new comments on our YouTube channel. You want to read those real quick?
Oh, is it? If it's about me, sure.
There's only if
it's not about me. I don't care.
Yeah. Having less than they haven't listened to all the podcast episodes, but everything that we've been talking about, this particular company is in the process of trying to do. They're at that glass ceiling approach that we spoke about a few weeks ago. They're working on processes and systems and the who, not how approach. It's ABC. Nice. Or AB Commercial Solutions, I guess would be their tag. They said, reflecting back on 2025, they had a lot of big milestones. They hired some full-time in-house IT folks.
Nice.
They moved into a larger office, implemented some KPIs and monthly meetings. They are watching techs work with each other to solve their problems, and new commercial region allowing customers to reduce 3 to 5 vendors to a single source. So he says, great work every week, and he looks forward to the podcast. It's Brian. So, Brian, thank you for the comment. That was nice.
Very nice.
You guys.
Fun small tidbit on the who, not how. We were in our managers meeting yesterday going over highlights of 2025. And a lot of the highlights that people were bringing up were related to the who's that we brought into our organization. I think we brought in 5 people last year, new people, and all 5 of them were called out as successes in different ways.
Nice.
I mean, it was a big theme. There's just basically the new hires brought a lot, like, for different reasons, and it was a good tie back to the who, not how, and how once you find the right who's, a lot of the hows takes care of itself. So
Yeah, I just made a post this morning that I referenced some of the best advice, and probably the best advice I ever got was from a guy named Jim McManus, a very successful car dealer, and he said, hire good people and stay out of their way.
Yeah.
And I've always subscribed to that. It's sometimes a bit hard to stay out of their way, but it was same ideas. The who, find the who.
So
do you have
Lars,
challenges finding good people to come work for you?
No, it's actually, they're lined up.
Oh,
Lined up outside the house, like the streets of Minneapolis right now. They don't have as many signs. Yep, you heard me.
Yeah. Okay, real quick, before we go way down that path, Lars, you've been very active on Instagram here recently, posting a lot of inspirational content. Is that by the time this airs, will that still be a thing? Is this a new 2026 thing? Should people go to Instagram and follow you? What's the strategy?
No. My advice to anyone listening would be to delete Instagram. I despise Instagram. I think it's the biggest poison in the history of our planet. That said, I was shocked, actually. I made a little year in review post, and I posted basically a photo dump from 2025. I don't follow anyone on Instagram.
I have a funny story about that too.
I basically use it as like a photo album. So I dumped a bunch of my photos on there, and then I was getting comments and texts and like messages from people I haven't talked to in years about various things. And that's, for anyone listening, is Tony moving his desk up, because that's what he does. But I posted, a bunch of these photos, got a lot of comments, and it was amazing to me what I posted and my intention of what I was it was literally like, these are the big events in my life that happened in the last 25 years. And this is for me because I go back and look at it, and and there was, I don't know, I'm talking thousands of people looked at this. I was like, how is that even possible?
Yeah,
but that's
amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I then realized that, there's so much poison out there and there's so much just junk that I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and throw out a few things that I've learned and hopefully try and dilute some of the poison out there. So I've also got a lot of heat from friends saying, are you okay? Who is this? And I was like, yeah, I know.
Your account get hacked.
Exactly. They're like, what? Who is this guy? And so I'm trying to be consistent. That is, I know where we're going, but that will be the first thing I talk about is consistency this year.
Nice. I had a conversation with somebody about consistency literally about 3 hours ago, so I'm curious to hear where you went with that. When you had posted your year in review, one of your year in review posts with photos, there was an image of you and Clark on the gondola.
The gondola.
Yep. And so I was like, hey, Clark, check this out. Lars posted a picture of you on his Instagram. Like, you made his year in review post, and I thought he would be like, "Oh, that's cool," and he was like, "Meh."
Well, there's actually, this isn't about my Instagram account here today, but there was two things, and one was a picture that we took. Two things. That's right. We took at the top of the mountain. Yeah. For those that weren't around a few months ago and listened to that episode, but Chad and I and his family climbed a mountain in Canada for kind of unknowingly. Yeah. But yeah, I was quite complimentary of Chad, and that was one of the moments why I posted that specifically was watching Chad be a dad and kind of this inspiration to drag his son, not literally, but like emotionally up this mountain, where this kid basically died about 10 times and just wouldn't move, was laying on his back like, just bury me here. But Chad was able to motivate him, and through patience and all this. Anyway, it was a really cool moment for me, and I saw a different side of Chad. It just wasn't hair and beard, which is what I usually get.
Yeah. It's wild. That we could go on I will go on a little bit of a side tangent on that of the kind of cross application between parenting with patients and leadership. There was another example, and I can't remember if I told you guys about this or not, but just a couple of weeks ago, we went to a local place here in Charlotte. It's called the Whitewater Center, and it's like a man-made whitewater rafting facility. But over the winter, they converted over to an ice skating rink, and they have some ropes courses and zip lines and things like that. And the point of the story is, similar situation happened where my son is Clark. He just turned 9 years old, and he decided that he wanted to do this ropes course, which is elevated, 50, 60 feet in the air. You're strapped in with a
which
harness.
is not his usual type of event.
Correct. He's a video gamer. He likes to play video games, climbing up on a rope like that. So he gets up there, and there's a point of no return. Once you get past a certain element, you have to keep going. And
gravity's all you got.
Yeah, it was at that point that he decided that he did not want to go forward. And I had opted to stay on the ground for this, and so they allowed me to kind of trail him underneath the ropes course. And I did recall the same kind of experience that we had climbing the mountain, where my son can get very emotionally charged, upset, aggravated, want to quit, And I had, in those moments, like you kind of fight the temptation to match that energy, or somebody's got to create a level head and patience and talk him through a way to solve this problem. And so we had that same situation where we were I was coaching him through walking this kind of tightrope situation around this course. And at one point in time, he had fallen off of the cable. And so he's dangling there by the harness from the rope above.
And he took that well, I'm guessing.
It was a completely calm situation, no screaming, crying at all.
Nothing.
And the wild part is, right, there's other people on the course, but you can only one person can be on that particular section at a time. Yeah. So nobody could come really out. And
there's a traffic jam coming out. Okay. Yeah.
And so he's down there, and he's just dangling, kind of like if you were, I guess, zip lining, and you just kind of get stuck in the middle. And so I had to walk him through hand over hand cable, getting himself back over to the other side. And he did it, and he made it all the way to the end of the course. Swore it off, said he would never go to that place ever again, but he completed the task. And in that situation, I was down on the bottom, saying, Clark, let's focus on the target. Where are we headed? Let's not worry about what happened. Let's get to the next point. And I think this is the reason I bring it up is same thing happens every single day in our businesses, where
in the workplace, absolutely every day,
where we have challenges, and you can match the energy and get frustrated and irate, or you have to have a level head to help people get through the process and get on to the next step. And so it's just kind of part of the leadership process.
I read something not too long ago, but I was talking about if you can't see the way forward, it's too complicated, it's too hard, it's too complex. Can you figure out the first step? Right. Let's not worry about that right now, where we're going and all of that. Let's just get to the first step.
Yeah, our operations manager brought that up yesterday in our managers meeting as well, about one of his big lessons learned is, like, with procrastination, is like just getting started, right? Take that first step and build momentum. And once you start doing one thing, you compound the steps, and then you just build momentum.
Yeah.
Momentum.
I'll mention this,
critical.
and then it'll start popping in all of your Instagram feeds as well. But I somehow this feed came on my Instagram reels, where this lady is doing videos on how long does it actually take, and she does these kind of. Have you seen them?
No, but I'm familiar with the concept.
Yeah, so she does these kind of like quirky little fun videos, and she starts out by saying, how long, this is a segment where I figure out how long it actually takes to help my friend do something that they've been procrastinating. And then they go through the thing, and typically it's like, it took an hour, and it
8
costs like
minutes.
$100, right? And she's got this kind of whole theme going on, and it really speaks to that. It's people just get paralyzed with starting because it feels
Yeah.
overwhelming, and
Yeah.
the only thing that she's doing is coming in and saying, "I'll help you get started, and I'll help you get through the stuck." And it's just kind of a lesson in leadership of how you can do that on a daily basis and find those areas where people have hit a brick wall. How do you help them get through it or get around it and get on to the next thing? And that's where you can kind of become successful as an organization.
Yeah, that's Atomic Habits is a good reference material to kind of understand this. And, the Japanese culture is famous for, start with one step. I actually did it this morning. I've been forcing myself to do some things that I don't normally do, but I was out last night till midnight. I was playing hockey, very Canadian of me, and alarm went off at 10 to 6 this morning. I was like, I don't want to, and I had to convince myself, just put your feet on the ground. That's step one. I got my feet on the ground. All right, now drag your butt up. It was, but there's certainly something to be said about being able to just take that first step.
Yeah. So this is probably not all off track. I mean, we've been chatting here for a few
Tony's
minutes.
Tony's very annoyed. You can tell.
Very, very annoyed, as always. But this isn't very off track because it's really about the conversation today is about what are the big kind of strategies or things that you're going to be implementing into your business this year, and the things that you're excited about. And one of the cool things about it is we are now creating a little bit of a journal for us. Like we have the ability to go back and see what we were thinking about at this point in time in 2025. Now we can look at it in 2026 and when in 2027 we can look back and say, hey, where did this go and how did it turn out for us? We thought we were going to be able to accomplish this. It actually turned out to be whatever. So that's kind of the concept of the conversation today is what are you excited a bit to implement in your business in 2026 and how are you going to go about doing that? I know that Tony also mentioned in a previous episode that we wanted to get some questions from you so that we can do a kind of a Q&A episode coming up soon. And so I'm sure we'll be having more of those questions filing in over the next couple of weeks. So we may have an opportunity to do that episode very soon. But today is all about what are we excited to implement in 2026 and what do we think the results are going to be? So
Tone, I think you got to lead us
started.
off here. You're grinding your teeth into the microphone so loudly. I think you want to get started.
Yeah. Okay. So for us, number one thing is a predictable and consistent sales process. I guess the main thing we're looking for is predictable. I think one of the things we've noticed is that our service revenue, and obviously making a sales process predictable is extremely difficult, but one thing we've noticed in our business is that all of our service-based items, whether it's customers walking into the counter, walking into the shop and buying something from the counter, or it's customers calling us over the phone and asking us for service calls, are very, very predictable. We looked at our service calls a little bit last summer, and the last 4 or 5 years, they've been extremely steady and predictable. How many we can count on each year. And our gains in service have primarily been by increasing labor rates. So again, it's a predictable thing. We obviously would like to grow it a little bit, but it is very predictable. Our biggest fluctuations in our revenue have come from projects that we've sold or won, quoted and sold. And a lot of times our quotes are very up and down, up and down. You have different project sizes, you have different project amounts that you're quoting. Sometimes it's 40 a week, sometimes it's 80 a week, and it's just very inconsistent. So looking to bring some predictability to the project side of our business by instilling some sales processes and I've been listening to some podcasts lately that have talked about that. Like in order to build something that you can continue to grow, you have to have a process, like not a process, but you have to have something that is scalable that you can say, okay, I want to do more of this. What am I going to do more of? And it's not just hire more salespeople and let them hang out. You got to have a process for them to follow. So we're looking to build some consistency into our sales processes in hopes of making them more predictable.
So I have a question on that real quick, because so you mentioned this, and I think it's probably pretty applicable to most businesses, the roller coaster effect, right? Of the projects coming in and then a big lull and then another big project that comes in. What are the elements around that you see? I mean, you just said a predictable sales process. So outside of that being an obvious answer, what do you see is the cause and effect of that kind of roller coaster of highs and lows with projects that are coming in, and then the depletion of it, and then another one that comes back in?
Interestingly, we're very reactive when it comes. So being reactive when it comes to a service side of things makes sense. Stuff breaks on a consistent basis. People call you on a relatively consistent basis. What we have noticed is that taking that same mentality to a project-based business does not apply, because if you just sit there and wait for the phone to ring, people call you at random times and need projects at random times. We are not doing anything from a demand generation standpoint, or doing anything extremely effectively from a demand generation standpoint and a lead generation standpoint that we can count on. It's just we're sitting there waiting for customers to call us, and we want to be more proactive in that process.
And how are you thinking of tackling that? Like, what's, keeping with the theme here, what's step one to become more proactive in the project world?
So two things. We want to have better, we've done a good job of this, but better tracking and visibility on the marketing activities we're doing.
Marketing activities. Okay.
Yep. But then
What do you
secondly,
define marketing activities, just for the
in that
terminology
specific
for
instance,
Jane?
I'm talking about paid advertising.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Google.
Primarily
Something.
Google, but whatever it is.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the second piece is being very proactive with our existing customer base. So it's, in essence, farming leads, doing proactive contacts with existing customers to try to drive demand that way.
So basically being visible to your
Yeah.
existing customers instead of just waiting for them to call whenever they think of you, being there so that they think of you more frequently.
Correct. Yep. And then the third piece of that down the road, probably not this year, but would be being visible with new customers, doing proactive check-ins, or essentially cold calling on new customers, or networking, which we do that as well.
So in the current setup where you have identified the ebbs and flows of projects, is in your business, if someone sells the project, do they then execute the project or manage the execution of it, or do they stay on the sales cycle?
They stay up. For the projects that we are focused on making more consistency to, they stay on the sales cycle.
Okay, gotcha.
So same thing as saying they hand it off to a project manager.
Yeah.
Or someone to manage the
sales
project.
sells it, it goes to operations, and operations installs it.
Operates.
The reason I was asking that is because I think it is kind of consistent in our industry that the person who sells it then also manages the install, and that is another effect that you'll see with that rise and fall of consistency with project sales, is because they're busy implementing or executing, and so they're not making proactive calls. And I mean, you'll find, and you probably have already figured this out, the kind of time frame from initial contact with a customer for an opportunity, how long it actually takes to get the approval and then get it completed. And so you're basically watching that leapfrog effect. If it's we find it's like about a 60-day window for us on average, from the time we initially start a conversation with an opportunity to the time that it's finished. So we need to have those conversations happening so that we don't have that lull, because it's going to take us 60 days to get it back.
Yeah, that's we're very similar too. Is, you sell a big project, it's great, but then you don't have sales for a month and a half while you're managing that project. Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think sales in general is largely a numbers game, and I'm not necessarily saying we are going to do cold calling from a lead gen standpoint, but I was listening to a podcast the other day that was talking about that, of just warm outreach, and the guy was talking about how 5 out of every 100 customers you call will give you time to talk to you, and then out of those 5, or sorry, I don't know, I can't remember the ratio, but basically the point I'm trying to make is he knew his ratios for his specific business. And that's kind of the thing I'm looking to figure out, is if we do X amount of proactive activities, what will we get out of that? And then we know that we can scale that by, if it's, 1 out of every 100 things gives us this, then all of a sudden now we can try 200, 300, 400. And now you start to learn that predictability behind it.
Right. Yeah. And that's definitely a reference to a book. They're talking about what's lead measures, that comes from which?
Well, lead lag is for disciplines of execution.
That's 40X. Okay. Because that's kind of what we're referring to here, is when you're focusing on those measures, that if you make 100 phone calls, 2 of them are going to be sales. So if you make 200 phone calls, you're going to have 4, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you focus on those activities.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for us, we haven't done enough proactive activities to know what the numbers need to be,
right.
to know how we can scale it.
Right.
But you just know it's more than what you're doing now.
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but it's like, so one of the challenges I think that we all have when you don't have a current measurable that you know is going to give you the results, then it's how do you set the new target, right? So if we say currently we think we're doing, 4 new contacts a month. Do we need to take that up to 40? Do we need to take that to 100? Do we need to take that to 25? Like, what's the number that we need to be targeting to get the results that we're looking for? And oftentimes people will get stuck on not setting a target because they don't know if it's going to be achievable or not. Is that been your guys' experience?
Yeah, goal setting. It's always goal setting, targeting, whatever you want to call it. There's some people that just kind of throw it at the wall, and then there's others that live and die by it.
Yeah.
And they're worried about setting the wrong one, and that's not attainable, and then people just shut down because they can't do it. And there's a whole bunch of psychology behind it. I think my experience is just take that first step. Doesn't matter. Just take the first step and then figure it out as you go.
I feel like we talked about it before on a previous episode, but there's some personality attributes around that, where some people, if the target is 100, 99 is complete failure, 100 is hitting the target. And then other people, personality is, if I'm starting at 0 and 100 is the target, if I made it to 99, then I did a lot more than I expected, right? So I made progress over the target, progress over achieving the target. And so it's like really identifying those who that person is, because 99 as a complete failure is detrimental, but 99 as progress to another individual is a huge success. So
and that's all about context. I know it's Tony's favorite thing in the world is when I take time to provide context, and he just rolls his eyes at me like he's doing right now. But you just made me think of something that's it didn't impact me. I saw that you rolled your eyes, but it's water up a duck's back.
For what it's worth, I like your context. You go beyond context. You are like, I'm gonna give you a story and then tell you way more context than one needs.
Tony's a little spicy today. Things are heating up there in Minnesota.
Exactly. There's lots happening in Minnesota. You'd think this is a good time for security, but not the point. I had something I'm going to share with you guys because it's related when we're talking about these kind of personalities and goal setting and trying to get to where I was talking to one of our sales team. I'm trying to speed up, Tony. I was talking to one of our members on the sales team, and he said, we were talking about compensation and bonus, and his target was $1 million, and he actually hit 1.4. So he actually smashed his sales target. And he didn't want a compensation increase. So he didn't want his salary to go up for this year because he feels his salary is an obligation, and the higher his salary, the more he pushes himself and the more pressure he feels internally to perform. I was like, oh my. So first of all, my first reaction is, man, you're crazy. You're out of your mind. And then second, I was like, how do I get more people like this? Because what a opposite mentality of, by and large, most people these days. So he was like, I would prefer a bonus where if I do exceed, then I do get something. But I don't want it to be so high that the expectation, and then you come back to me in a year and say that, you didn't meet what we agreed to.
Yeah. I don't think that's 100% uncommon, even though your initial response, but
more rare, I think. But
I've had that conversation before, like where some of our teams have said, I don't want as big of a salary increase because that means our target is going to go up, which means we have to accomplish more. I was like, I see your perspective on it. I've never thought my brain doesn't process it that way, but okay. So their concept is, if I make more money, then I have to do more work to generate and earn more money so that it's kind of continue bouncing. I was like, I guess in the short, yes, that's how it works. But we all want to grow, right? Like
they don't want the consistent pressure. They want the flexibility to be. They want their flexibility to take the foot off the gas occasionally.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I think he was just specifically is like I'm putting all this pressure on myself to perform, and it's affecting my health. It's affecting my lifestyle. And I was like, you want to be clear. This pressure is not coming from us. No, not at all. But every time you give me a raise, I expect more out of myself to, do this on behalf of the company for you guys. So anyway, it was an interesting take because I hadn't come across that one before. Chad, you ready for your first?
Yeah, I mean, our big thing this year, I mean, we're living it right now. The biggest thing we're implementing is new software, which changes our workflows and a lot of capabilities, really. But so we're actively in the throes of that, and the reason that I bring it up is we're implementing new workflows with software, which will allow us to roll in more acquisitions and more employees. So, there's, I think we've all had these experiences before in our businesses where we have a certain level of infrastructure that allows us to grow to a point, and then as we try to outpace the infrastructure, it actually becomes harder to get work done. And
that's probably the biggest roadblock in our industry.
Yeah.
I would say is that we all plateau when our infrastructure, call it a software, whatever.
Well, and when I say infrastructure, I mean, I'm using it today in terms of our software, but I think, Tony could use his sales cycle or his sales process as infrastructure related because he can't grow the project-based business without on the same level of infrastructure that he's used his sales cycle currently. Right. And so that's kind of where I'm looking at it is it's a fundamental element around how we can get more people doing things or get the same people doing more things. So if you've got, if your systems are too complicated, if your workflow is too complicated, then it takes more people to do the same amount of task. What? Did I lose you?
I'm listening. I'm laughing at Tony, who fell asleep on the desk, but keep going.
It takes more.
I'm listening. I'm just listening and absorbing the wealth of knowledge.
Wow. That was...
It wasn't sarcastic. That was actually, I was...
All right. So anyways, when you have inefficient processes, right, inefficient workflows, then it requires more people to do the same amount of things, the same amount of tasks, which then creates your overhead to increase, which then limits your growth, right? And so it's this cycle effect. And so we have spent the last almost 2 years investing in development so that we can launch a software that is old. We would hopefully receive all that back in a period of time. But anyway, so that's the big exciting thing. It is. I would attribute it to effectively a brain transplant for our organization when you, at the size and scale that we are, to change an operating platform is huge. But the lessons learned from it is incredible. I always look at it this way too, because this is the third conversion of software that I have been a part of implementing in our organization. And the biggest thing that I learned from it, I don't want to do it more frequently, but you do find out so many ineffective workflows that you didn't know existed when you start disconnecting stuff.
Oh my God, we actually do that.
Correct.
Oh my God.
And you inevitably don't know about it because you don't account for it. When you and when you build this new thing, it's like, well, I didn't even know that existed. So since a week later, somebody comes and says, "Hey, I can't do this particular task that I've been doing." And so I guess the short point of that, because I know that's all very kind of ambiguous, but it allows you to reconstruct your workflows in a more productive manner because it's a forced reset. So I utilize it a lot of times, the term scream test, because it's effectively unplug everything and see who yells at you the loudest.
Yeah.
And if nobody yells, then it probably wasn't necessary to begin with.
Mm.
Yeah, that's how I do electrical work. Flip off a fuse and see if I hear anyone. Hey, yeah. That's that's a huge undertaking what you're taking on right now. And I'll give the plug for you because I know you don't like doing that yourself. But if you are looking at a new software platform or looking at making a change, probably reach out to Chad at Loc-Doc.net. Is that right?
Yeah, that works. Yeah, sure. I
Yeah,
appreciate
whatever.
that.
Or any of the socials. But yeah, it's a pretty cool platform. I have seen it. It's a terrible color of green, which is obnoxious. But yeah, it's
Sprinkled
going
in
to be
some nice
pretty
blue
exciting.
and orange too. So he's
Yeah,
got all
there's
the, he's trying to make his way around the color palette.
And I mean, transparently on that, right? We tried to build a piece of software that was not, it was wild. The software that we built in-house previously, we customized it and catered it to every aspect of our business because we just wanted it to be ours.
Mhm.
And this, we really took back this case of how, and I've talked to so many other business owners and operators, shown them, listened to their feedback, and we were trying to build something that is a little more commercialized.
Yeah.
It's customized and catered to the locksmith industry because of some of the specific elements that it has in it, but it is not specifically customized to our organization. And Tony and I have had a dozen conversations here over the last couple of months around the pros and cons of customization with software. Is just because you can doesn't mean you always should.
Especially if you run into a guy like Tony. who is more of a rifle than a shotgun.
Yeah, no, it's across the board, right? If you have the ability to customize something, then it doesn't necessarily mean that you should, and we all fall subject to that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's I looked at a lot of things like the kind of concepts around how Apple deploys software and devices. They don't allow a lot of customization because they just want it to work. And when you start to customize things, then it starts to be very subjective to if it actually works or not. So
that we'll have to make a note at the most arrogant thing said on the podcast this year. And that's so far number one. Chad just referring to what he is doing as like Apple, which of course means he would be Steve Jobs, which is absolutely on brand for this man.
He also has compared his software to Amazon, I believe, in a previous demo. So he is comparing himself to Bezos and Jobs.
Yeah. Well,
I would not say either of those things. I appreciate there's my theory around it is
appreciate that was not a compliment.
No.
I don't know if you could.
I appreciate the insult there.
Okay.
It was. I'm not trying to compare myself to any of those guys by any stretch. I'm saying let's look at these types of pieces of software or organizations.
Why do these models work?
Correct. I've also used kind of the Elon Musk philosophy. A lot of things around delete until you have to add things back because you want it to be as simple and snappy as possible. And just because you can doesn't mean you should. So, anyways, that's just the point of it is.
Yeah, so you're just kind of a hybrid, the best of all three, I think, is what we're taking away here. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. My big takeaway from all of these conversations is our big thing that we're focused on this year is implementing new software so that it allows us to grow to the next level of organizational efficiency that we need to go from our current size to what we have set a vision for the next 3 years. And our current operational infrastructure would not allow us to do that. So that's the big thing that we are focused on implementing, and probably one of the few things that we'll implement this year because it's a huge change.
Yeah, that's exciting. We'll see. We'll see what this looks like in in the coming weeks. Yeah. So I've spent probably more time in the last 3 weeks contemplating and, I don't know, call it reflecting, call it whatever buzzword you want to use, about just business in general, my life in general, where I was to where I am, what I expected I would be at versus where I'm actually at or where I feel I'm at.
Mhm.
And it's, I then, this is absolutely crazy. Someone in my life used ChatGPT to basically have, like a deep dive into their own emotions and was telling me about it. And I was like, that's lunacy. But I was like, well, I was curious. So, just had a kind of a conversation. Like ChatGPT is almost like a psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
And because it is loaded with a lot of reference material and a lot of psychology. And so it was pretty interesting. But
so you had a CPU to CPU chat?
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of a heart to heart, you just had.
Yeah, it was, and it's way cheaper. Yeah. So, but I realized that, and this is actually going to make some people laugh. Anyone that knows me, I wouldn't say I'm an oversharer. I'm not, as much as Tony gives me hell for context. I don't talk about my personal life, and I don't. I just don't, and I don't know why. And that was part of what I was kind of going through. Is I don't know why. Somewhere along the line of in my origin story, I just stopped. And what I realized is what I was trying to accomplish had lots of other consequences. It was hard for people to get close to me, but that would, for instance, and having kind of those deep relationships, it took a long time kind of to get there before I warmed up. Saying all that, if I'm going to make a culture index reference, I'm a very high social person. So I actually, even though I don't think people, I don't know if you guys would describe me as a highly emotional person. And, I've never really thought of it that way. And people that don't know me think that's not at all. But what I've realized is that really dictates the environment around me. I have, I'd say I have a pretty significant piece of personality that I draw the people around me. When I'm up, I think the people around me are up. And I think when I'm down, the people around me are down. And I've realized that, that delta and that change is probably what makes me successful in what I've done, but it also makes it very challenging for the people around me. Call it whiplash, call it a Ferris wheel, call it whatever you want, where when things are good and the sun is shining, everything's great. And when it's not, it's really not. And that impact on my business and the people around me and really everything in my life is significant. And so when I look at what I'm focused on in business, it's more internally with me is consistency. That's the word that I'm trying to do. I've always taken pride in, hey, I'm spontaneous. You guys laugh. Like I show up in Texas, I don't even have a hotel room. Like, oh, I forgot that, but whatever, I'll figure it out.
Or Connecticut or Virginia or
that happens. Like, right. And while, that's kind of where I get a lot of inspiration in that chaos. Yeah. That is very, very uncomfortable for the people around me in my life, at work, outside of work. And so I'm not
those
sure.
Those you have to share a room with.
Those that I have to spoon with, Tony. Bunk beds, Tony. But, so that consistency is really what I'm trying to focus on. And rather than that whiplash or that Ferris wheel or whatever, where it, there's ups and downs, I'm trying to just be a little more flat where I can jump into those gears if needed, but really be aware and intentional on where I'm at emotionally, so that it doesn't have I'm trying to minimize or at least flatten out the negatives without completely losing who I am. So it's a little more psychology and deep babble than maybe business. But
what do you hope to accomplish with that?
The main thing is stability, which is a synonym, I think, with consistency.
Yeah.
But rather than surrounding or having the people around me in a constant state of chaos where only a few of us really thrive, I'm hoping they can really dig in and be better and more successful, and probably most importantly, more happy doing a few things rather than trying to do everything that my little pea brain comes up with at any given moment.
Yeah.
So it's, like we were talking about, I think at the end of the year, we were talking about acquisition. I was talking to Matt, who's, my business partner, and saying like, we're looking at, maybe we should look at Kelowna and, these couple other things and moving to Winnipeg. And, I was weighing these things around and I was like, or I could do nothing. Like we started a multifamily company last year. There's a firm where we're now doing multifamily. We're doing low voltage. We're doing cameras. We've added a bunch of people. I'm like, hey, Matt, this might be a bit. Is this like, how overwhelmed are you? And, he just kind of smiled. It's like, what I should do is nothing. Let's let everyone kind of catch up. Let's figure out if I can stick my energy somewhere that's going to impact what we have rather than making a bigger mess.
There's a lot of truth in what you're saying, and to be as, I guess, direct as possible, some of your chaos, or that you perceive or other people may perceive as chaos, is some of your kind of working genius. It's what it allows you to accomplish the things that you've been able to do, because you can move at that pace and be adaptable in all those situations. And trying to squash that is a whole different kind of conversation. But I think what you just said is very true. I was having a conversation with someone in a peer group 3 months ago, and he's got some very similar personality traits that we've just been discussing. He likes to start new things, go after the new shiny. And for years, he's spun up a new business or two every year and navigated these things. Well, in 2025, he decided to kind of dial that down and just put all of his attention on this one particular thing. And he was reflecting on it to say how boring it has been for him this year, because he's had to stay in that particular lane. But he's been the most profitable. He's got the most cash at the end of the year, right? And I was laughing because I've had the exact same experience. 2025 and the tail end of 2024 were probably the most boring years in business for me.
Yes, me too.
Because I didn't feel like
purpose.
Yes, correct. On purpose. I didn't feel like we were out there just flipping things up in the air and seeing what happens. We were a little bit more methodical and structured about how we did things, which is not necessarily my comfort zone, but we were the most profitable when we did that. And we had, there was more consistency throughout the organization. And
your who's are
correct.
You've surrounded yourself with people that can exist in that state. And this year, you could probably argue, was the most boring and probably the best year you guys have ever had.
Oh yeah, it's another But
so I think these are probably correlated here.
Correct, and I would say the kind of point that I was getting at is, for those folks that may be listening to this podcast, what I have had to try to be reflective on, and I have a business coach. I've talked about that a lot, to try to bounce these things off of, and it keeps me in check every month. Okay, am I on pace for where I'm trying to go? Where am I off track? And I've put my energy in other things. I mean, you guys have seen this. This podcast is one, right? I put a lot of energy in this because it's something that's creative. It's energizing. I get a lot of enjoyment out of working with you guys on this and putting it together.
Drink from me,
And
Chad. Drink from me.
and it gives some flexibility in in like this. I'm not in there reworking the business every day because this is a creative outlet. The other one, I put a lot of effort and energy into trying to improve my golf game. And so those two things have saturated a lot of that kind of creative energy that I would typically have put into the business.
And one of those is going dramatically better than the other. Like we have like 12 listeners or watchers or whatever now, which I mean, it's good. Your golf game.
Yeah. It's
aside from the 12 you made on the par 3 yesterday. It's been going okay, I guess.
But that was, those are things that I can put my energy towards that don't disrupt the business. Right.
Right.
And so the business can kind of continue to grow. And what I've had to find is I can go back.
Or your personal life.
Sure. Yeah.
Like there's,
family, all those things.
you know, if your wife, Jessica, was sitting here and we asked her and said, you know, have you noticed? I guarantee she has because you've got the same energy. It's just in a different direction.
Repurposed, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think the reason I bring all that up is I don't think, especially for those that are leading business, is it's not abnormal to kind of get stuck into that. One, when you are into the day to day and you're working in the business, you get that dopamine hit because you're solving problems, you're seeing real results. You put something in place and then you get to see what happens. And the downside of that is it can be some of the most unproductive, unprofitable, chaotic years and times for the business because you're enjoying it, but everybody else is drained. And so then the flip of that is to kind of back off, be a little more patient, let things resolve themselves, but then you're bored. So it's like the negative on that side. So understanding that and keeping it in balance, but the consistency side is like having those checkpoints. So that you don't sit in 6 months and go, I am bored out of my mind and I don't want to do this anymore. You know, like what are the things that you can check?
I was just talking to somebody that I really respect the opinion of, and he made a comment. They said, there is a whole bunch of people that are way dumber than me, that are way more consistent, and therefore way more successful. And I was just like, He's like, he told me, and this was, still hurts my heart a little bit. He's like, you take pride in the chaos that you create and don't really realize what it does to everyone around you. And he said, and I'm the same way. And I spent the first 40 years of business creating this chaos and, you know, setting a fire to everything in my life. He's like, he's had a few wives. He's had, you know, all of this chaos. And he said, and then I look at, you know, the guy that's been selling tires and he's doing better. He gets up, has the same thing to eat, sells tires every day, comes home. You know, it's just his routine and his consistency has got him way further with way less, which, you know, resonated with me. It's like, whew. It's so yeah.
It's an interesting. I was thinking about. And this might even be a future podcast topic, but like leaning into your strengths versus trying to improve your weaknesses. Right?
Yes.
And it's interesting. Like, I'm curious to know. How long do you intend on focusing on consistency? Because kind of like to what Chad was saying a little bit, if you lean too far into consistency, now all of a sudden you're losing your, like, is this like a yearly plan? Is this like I'm going to do this forever? Is this like because it's interesting, like you said, you don't want to lose that value you bring by coming up with new ideas and new innovation. And how, I think when you were talking about it, you're like, you want to find that right balance, but I think that's going to be hard because you're so naturally good at coming up with new innovative ideas. And if all of a sudden you just try to be someone you're not, then do those go away? And how do you find that balance? And how long do you plan to do this, I guess, is my question.
Well, I'm hoping, like everything, this is a pendulum. Meaning I've swung way too far to the chaos side. And, you know, I got to a point that I, you know, just had, it was on my birthday, actually. I looked in the mirror. I was like, how did I end up here? Like, this was not the plan. So I'm right now, the pendulum, I've swung it too far. You mentioned social media. You know, I hate social media, and I've been very active on social media. Now I won't get into that, but the pendulum right now, I'm literally getting up at the same time. I'm eating, like I'm trying to be very consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And the pendulum has gone way too far the other way. I know it's killing me.
Yeah.
But
I like the fact that you said you're getting up at the same time and you're eating, because those are two things that I've never seen you eat before.
Well, yeah, it turns out if you eat less, it's easier to stay more fit.
Oh, yeah, but
yeah,
you do have to eat at a point.
Well, yeah, and I do mix in some. Yeah, well, there's
Consumes his
something.
calories in other ways.
Hey, that's true. I drink my calories, generally speaking, but that's another thing. The pendulum's gone too far. I don't know if this is how I do things, but to Tony's point, the pendulum's gone too far right now. It's only been 2 or 3 weeks.
Gotcha.
But you know, once I think I establish kind of a baseline, I'll probably come back, because I am fully aware what makes me who I am. And what's gotten me to where I am is that ability to function under chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the popcorn machine we've talked about. So I have no intention of losing that. I just have to find that other outlet. I think, Chad, what you spoke to is like perfect, advice is I have to find something else to put that energy and that creativity towards.
Yeah.
So that's, and what it is, Tony, how and when and how do I know? Honestly, I don't. Yeah. But
it'll become evident soon.
Exactly. I will recognize the signs from the people around me in the business and all of that, I think.
Yeah.
So
it was interesting. I'll give you this one little tidbit and we can kind of bring this thing to a close. But
land the plane.
Thriving in chaos is a huge skill. And oftentimes, those that are good with it will create the chaos because they're comfortable with it. But it can be a very handy tool and a very handy skill when it's necessary. So, just talking about the software that we're converting to, we just launched it, a couple of days ago from when we're recording this. And you have 50 people that are used to something a certain way, and then you rip it away and give them something new. There's chaos. And I am comfortable with that, and I've dealt with this before, so I've got some experience with it. And it was really fun to be able to exercise that skill while we were launching the software, because I could hear what people were frustrated by and calm the chaos because I was comfortable in it, where other people were responding a little more aggressively or responding a little bit more chaotic. I was able to kind of fly in there in a calm state because I was comfortable with that situation. And so the reason I bring that up is having your ear to the ground and knowing when those things come up, when there's a frustrated customer, when there's a confusing project, and you can come in there and interject because you're comfortable in chaos and you can calm the situation and help people see through that, is a massive skill that when we are always creating chaos, we don't get to utilize all the time, because we're so busy in the other areas that are not necessary. So anyways, it's just maybe a different way to look at it, in a way that you can put some energy towards it. So who's the topic next? Because we've really discussed a lot of what we're excited about implementing this year. Tony's going to implement a sales structure. Lars is going to implement a level of consistency and schedule too.
I'm going to try and be boring and hate my life.
No. And then we're gonna implement new infrastructure and software. So who has the next topic?
That would be Lars.
Oh, I thought it was terrible topic. Tony's turn. Look at the alliteration there. Yeah, is there anything we've missed on the bingo? Land the plane, long in the tooth, Tony sauna.
We did have an inside joke earlier about you not having a hotel room.
Good. Yes, we should also, I'm going to vamp here a little minute, but we're going to mention that special happy birthday to our biggest listener, because that was kind of a cool moment. You should mention that, Jeff.
Yeah, so we were
Or watcher.
Well, watcher. Yeah. We've mentioned Uncle Glenn so many times on the podcast. He is the owner of Graw Security out in San Diego.
San Diego. No one knows what that
Diego.
means.
Yeah, yeah.
Scully's maintained.
So his general manager Jane reached out to me on Instagram and said, "Hey, would love to get some Unlock podcast coffee cups from you guys." And so we threw a couple in the UPS and shipped them out to Uncle Glenn. And she shared a video with us of him opening them up, and it was blast. The first thing that he said was, "Oh, I've been needing a left-handed coffee cup."
That's how you know he's a watcher.
Yes,
Or a listener.
absolutely.
That's the
There, your
little
inside
inside information. If
But
you were
Uncle Glenn turned
later-
70,
Yes,
which
Yes,
is
that's-
incredible.
doesn't act a day over 30, but he's
Yeah.
Other than the wisdom,
Mhm.
when Uncle Glenn, if you ever have a chance to meet Uncle Glenn, and he sits there and he looks up to his right and starts nodding his head and says, "You know what
It occurs to me."
You know there's absolute gold coming. It's
Yeah,
going to be
yeah,
something
get some
that's going to
notes.
make you money or improve your life or something. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
that was
the
He
cool
has
thing
he has a way though. It's like it's interesting. People seem to know that he's about to actually have wisdom, unlike the
Mhm.
three of us. And it's like when he talks, people just know to listen. It's like you don't even need to tell them to do that. They just get it. He's a wise man.
I think it might be the hair too. You know, he
Yeah.
has that kind of that whitish hair that looks very. I think most of the power comes from his hair.
the or the years of experience of being in the industry and
Yeah,
in
the
business in
45
general.
years didn't hurt in verticals and
I think we all
Or
grew
there.
to appreciate Uncle Glenn during the pandemic when we were
Yeah.
all part of the business meeting online where we were meeting every day, and Uncle Glenn would get on there and eat his egg salad or chicken salad.
have a sandwich.
Talk about consistency.
Yes.
Every day at the same time. And,
Open his little Tupperware, have his little
Yep.
sandwich. It was cut down the middle. Yeah.
and then share some wisdom with us. And man, yeah, because we've all known Glenn for a long time, but that was, I think, for me, that was the first time that I really got to experience a lot of his thought process and how he did things.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of neat to be able to participate in that. So appreciate Jane reaching out, and we always
We got a
appreciate
good
it.
video of it. That was fun. That was fun.
Well, cool.
Okay. I've
Was that enough
had a-
distraction for you to come up with a topic?
Yeah, well, I've had a couple. I actually was prepared for this, but I thought it was
Oh,
Tony.
okay.
I'm going to say this, and Tony, if you snap back at me and say, "We've already talked about this," I'm going to just ignore you politely. But I think it's something we are due to revisit because I know it's something that I'm working through right now with my sales team, and I think, Tony, with your focus for the year and trying to get some consistency and maybe some standard operating within your sales team. If you actually press that button, Tony, that mutes you, or just sneeze directly in the microphone. I'm wondering if we can talk about sales compensation.
It's a great
I know
topic, Lars.
we've beat this to death a couple times, but I want to explore it a little bit more because I don't think what I have implemented in our company is working well enough.
Mm.
And I
Mhm.
think I'm starting to see and feel the unintended consequences of what I thought was a good idea a year ago. And I know, Chad, yours is a different model, and Tony, yours is a different model. But I'd like to talk maybe about what our models are, and I want to share what I'm thinking of going towards. Because a fellow reached out to me, Adam Smith is his name,
Mhm.
and he was looking to add on a salesperson. I sent him to the podcast. I don't know what number it was, 52 or something. But I thought that'd be interesting, and given where we're at, that might be an area to go down. So, Chad, you can jazz up that title however you want.
Mhm.
But I think it's a workshop that a lot of people will be working on at this kind of early stages of the year, and see
Yeah.
if we can figure out what we've done right, maybe some tips and tricks, and of course what we've screwed up.
I like it.
It's a
And I
great
think
topic, Lars. Way
Yeah.
to pull it right. Pulling one from our list. Good way to make sure all of us like it. Actually, that's not true. But
I'm-
I think
Consistency,
that,
Tony. That's how I live my life.
I like this new Lars. He's more palatable.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I think
don't
we
push your
teased
luck.
that
'Cause I
a
still
little
got
bit of
the
that
fire in
topic
there.
at the end of episode 61 as well. So
Mhm.
We what? Sorry.
I said I think we teased a little bit of that topic at
Oh,
the
did
end
we?
of episode 61. That would be a good topic to talk about this year. So
Oh, you're
I like
such
it.
a tease, Chad. All right, bring us home. Where do they find us? The whole thing. Play us out. Whatever you got to do.
It's good to see you guys today. Hope you're doing well. Thank you guys for listening. As always, find us on LinkedIn if you would like to chat with us. Always appreciate the group messages when people send us chats and contact us and share their thoughts or ask questions or give us some feedback and suggestions of things to talk about. So please do that. You can find all of our LinkedIn information if you are trying to search for us and figure out how to spell our names. It's all on our website at unlockedpodcast.com. And all of this content, surprisingly, is coming to you free of charge. So it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe.
You get what you pay for.
on
for sure.
all the podcast platforms or on YouTube, and you don't have to pay a dime for it. So